Hello again, fellow homesteaders. I want to get this first step done quickly while this water is still at boiling stage. I picked the wrong day to make videos about cleaners where I have to pour water into the sink or run water into the sink because we are flooded in once again. This recipe for the do-it-yourself natural drain cleaner starts with pouring water in first instead of having a delay for the ingredients to do their magic and then pouring in later to flush them through. I'm not sure the scientific reasoning behind it, but both of these, in my experience, have tended to work well. So you pour your boiling water in, 2 cups of boiling water, as the recipe indicates. And in this cup, I'm using it instead of a mason jar because I'm going to use this right away, is my 2 cups of baking soda. I had to go scramble some more. And then you're going to mix the rest of your solids here together. My 1/2 cup of salt, just standard table salt. It's going to pour in here. I think I might have needed to get a bigger cup. I should have gone ahead and gotten out a mason jar. I just honestly didn't want to have something else that needs washed out of my sink since I can't do dishes because we are flooded in and everything's backed up. So here's my table salt. I'm going to pour it into the same cup with my baking soda. Oh, I have some residue in here. Make sure you always, just like in your baking, check into your measuring cups and measuring spoons. Make sure you get it all. And then I'm going to use the cream of tartar, 2 tablespoons full. And go ahead and dangle it over my sink. We get a little extra and it won't hurt much. Okay. Now, I'm not using something with a lid like you're supposed to. I'm going to do it a little bit a different way. I'm going to go ahead and take my other cup and I am just going to toss them back and forth. I have found that these solids tend to clump up and just do not want to mix well. So I will sift them more or less and dropping a little, but it's all going in the same place. Back and forth. A little bit of a mess saver there instead of using a mason jar. And I'll go ahead and give them a couple stirs just to make sure they're sifted. But I now no longer see a big pile of salt on top or the more dense cream of tartar. Give them a nice stir. Couple of stirs just to make sure. And then you're just going to pour this slowly on down into your drain. Because you're putting in such thick solids, you might have to give them a little more help in the last recipe with the baking soda and the salt. This is a lot larger amount. I'm not really sure if it's the equivalent of a double batch to the other one because you are dealing with different ingredients. I guess they both seem to work similarly well. The other one is just a little bit quicker and easier. You do not have to stand here and scoop down in. Maybe if you used a funnel. It'll depend on your sink. My sink has a thing here in the middle that's supposed to prevent stuff from going inside. It's not supposed to be there, so it's a little bit more work when you're dealing with such a solid. It's not fizzing up from the vinegar to get it all down in the hole. So this one takes a little bit longer, but it does work well, and it may depend on what ingredients you have on hand when you have a clogged sink. Have to get dishes done so you can do dinner, in-laws coming over, or you might be flooded in like I am. And you might not have something on hand that you need. I imagine homesteaders keep the essentials on hand. If you decide to use one of these on a regular basis, then you will stock up on them as well. You think you always have vinegar and baking soda hanging around because they're staples on most homesteads. But you might get on a cleaning frenzy or doing some canning and run shorter than what you think. I'm still going to work this in. As you can see, at least with my type of sink, with this grate here in the middle, it's taking a good bit longer, and actually longer than usually takes me to get these ingredients on down in there. And I'm only about a quarter way through. So if your sink has something similar, you might end up liking the other recipe that we did better just because it is quicker and simpler. I don't know that this one works so much as Stanley better than the other one, that it's worth taking this extra time to put it in. But you do not have to put any type of a cap on your drain after you do this. Everything's working its way down in. It does seem to coat and break up grease really well, so if that's what you're dealing with, maybe it's worth this extra bother. I've really not had it take this long to sift in before, but it's taking a while. And once you do this, follow directions about waiting so long to use your sink and running water back through it. You want this to thoroughly coat your pipes and have time to break everything up so that your clog is gone, and then you can snake if you have to, if your clog isn't completely gone. I will just continue to work this through my sink. I am so surprised it is taking this long to get it down in there. The baking soda was a little bit old, so it was hard. It had been stored in a butcher shop where it was a little chilly, so it was kind of chunky hard. So I went ahead and put it in the cup ahead of time so I could crunch it up a bit. You didn't have to listen to that crunchy noise on the video. Like salt, sometimes they'll get hard and clump together. So that might be causing my problems. I don't want to deter you from trying this because it works. It may just be the baking soda that I used and this grate trying to pound it on through. But it does work. It works as well as the other one that we did. It just takes a little bit longer, not typically this long. But either one should not only help break up grease and gook and grime in your sink, they will also help get rid of any noxious odors that are coming from there for different foods and things if you have a garbage disposal. And if you use it on a regular basis, it will hopefully prevent the need to get out a snake or be worried about calling a plumber or having your husband do plumbing. Men don't like to do that, and it usually induces swearing anyway. So if you get in the habit of doing this once a week, just like with your weekly mopping or whatever other chores, and then it will hopefully be a very handy, natural, and inexpensive preventative for your kitchen cleaning routine.